Happy Monday. This week we are going to look at the elements of a story. Okay. You may not know that stories have elements, but they do. There's a lot of different things. There's the plot, the characters, the setting, the mood, the tone. There's so much that we need to look at within a story. And we're going to learn one each day. So today we're going to start with the setting. Okay, where and when does the story take place? So let's look at some books that we have read together. Because of Winn-Dixie, the setting would be, let's see, where and when. Where, it was in Naomi, Florida. When, we weren't really sure of the time frame, but we did know it was in the summer, right? Because she was outside and they were doing stuff. There was no school. Let's think of the setting of Holes, Camp Green Lake. When? Well, it was kind of in recent time. We know that they didn't go to school during that time, so maybe it was the summer also. The setting of Refugee in our read aloud, many different settings. One's taking place on a boat, one on a cruise ship, one as they're trying to escape. So the setting is where and when the story took place. And usually that's that's easy to know, but sometimes we really have to pay attention to why is that important? What? So yeah, that's what it is. But we have to realize that because of that setting, that's why important things take place. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to watch this little YouTube video together about the setting. Kind of cheesy, but I love cheesy videos. And we're going to talk about more in depth of the story setting.
Story elements are the different parts of a fiction story. The setting is an important story element. Can you figure out the definition of setting from the following examples? The setting might be a hot, sunny day at the beach during the summertime. Or it could be a cold, rainy night at a haunted house in October. So what do you think the definition of setting is? Pause here to think, or keep watching to find out.
What do you think?
Setting is the time and place of a story.
We already talked about that. The time and the place. The where.
It often answers the
and
questions when and where. The time of a story may be in the past or in the future, in the daytime or at night, in the summer or winter.
And all of these make it important to the story. If we're talking about in the past, that'll make things way different. In the future, when you're reading Harry Potter, you know that could be a future time, a made-up time. Things definitely change, even daytime and nighttime. Isn't it more when things happen at night? It's usually a little bit spookier and darker. Okay, and then the summer and the winter, all these things really affect the setting of the story.
A story may take place in a school, in a jungle, in a big city, in the desert, or in a variety of other places. We can also use adjectives or describing words.
We did this in our poems.
Setting, like if it's sunny, cold, bright, busy, or spooky. You can determine the setting of a story by looking at the illustrations and finding information in the text. Let's try it. I was walking in the park on a warm day.
So where was she? The setting? In the park, right? It's sunny, it's warm, it's a beautiful day. So just looking at the pictures in one sentence, we can determine where she is.
How would you describe this setting? The text tells you I'm in a park, it's warm, and it's daytime. The illustration shows flowers and birds and the sun. I think it might be spring. So we could describe the setting as a warm spring day in the park. So remember, setting is the time and place a story happens. What settings have you seen in stories before?
So, one thing to take away, the setting is the time and the place where the story happens. Now, for the next part of this assignment, Mrs. Ecker is going to read a book on Epic, and we are going to look at the setting, and then you guys will get to do one on your own. For the next part of this setting lesson, we are going to read a book together on Epic. I'm going to read it to you, and we are going to talk about the same questions you will have for your work today. So today's book is called Hannah's Way. Here's a little preview. It says, after Papa loses his job during the Depression, Hannah's family moves to rural Minnesota. where she is the only Jewish child in her class. So I thought this book was cool for two reasons. One, takes place with her moving to Minnesota, where we are from, and being a Jewish child, that's happening in our read aloud right now when we're going through refugee. So let's just pay attention to some things about where it takes place, all right? So, and I kind of already have a hint here. Look at the picture. Kind of looks like she's kind of out in the country during the Depression. That tells me it's back in the 1930s. They say Minnesota right here, so that kind of gives me a hint too. So even without reading, we have some good ideas. So here we go. Hannah's Way. Must be a school with some kids out here is what it looks like. This Saturday is our fall picnic, Miss Hartley reminded everyone. Hannah's heart raced. The class picnic. Maybe now she'd make some friends. Where they are here, guys, a school, right? Sitting nicely at our desk. We've reserved a spot at Grove Park, her teacher continued. Let me know if you'll need a ride. Hannah's face fell. A ride? On Saturday? Back home in Minneapolis, her friends would have understood, but here in northern Minnesota, no one would. No one else in the whole school was Jewish. So here we're still at school, so down in Minneapolis, I'm sure some of you have been there. If only Papa hadn't lost his job, Hannah thought. If only Uncle Mike hadn't asked him to come work in his general store way up here on the Iron Range. If only she weren't so far away from all her friends. So we can probably already know how she's feeling now too, not very happy. That night before bed, she told her parents about the picnic. Please, may I go? Anna, Mama's eyes said in disapproval. Ride in a car on Saturday? Just this once, Hannah begged. Papa's voice was quiet but firm. You know that Saturday is our day of rest. We don't work or drive on the Sabbath. So here they are in her house. We've had a few different settings. Hannah lay in her bed and sobbed. It was hard enough being new and having no friends. Now she would have to miss the class picnic too. The next day during spelling, Hannah looked around at her classmates. She knew only a few of them by name. Peter was a loudmouth. Sally raised her hand with all the right answers. Ruth, who sat right next to Hannah, liked to draw. Would any of them understand? That night at dinner, Hannah tried again. Why can't I ride in a car? It is not driving, it's just sitting. Papa's eyes darkened. Just because there are no other Jews in the community doesn't mean we forget our way of our people. Please understand, Mama said more gentle. We wish you could go. I don't want follow the waves of my people, thought Hannah. I just want to go to my class picnic. She held her tongue. And we can kind of see, guys, based on the setting, look at the different things in the picture at the house. We have kind of an old refrigerator, an old sink, the pots and pans in the stove. So we know we're taking place years ago. On the playground the next day, everyone was making plans. Who would they ride with? Who would they eat with? Hannah wanted to plug her ears. If anyone needs a ride, we have room, Perfect Sally announced. Hannah, Peter shouted across the playground. Who are you riding with? Now everyone was watching her. I don't know yet. Hannah turned away. Ruth was busy making a clover chain. She looked up at Hannah and smiled as if she might want to be friends. Hannah smiled back hopefully. And you guys can just see simply by the picture that they're out at recess. When class was dismissed, Hannah hung behind. Miss Hartley, she began in a small voice, about the picnic, I want to go, but about the car, how could she explain? It would sound so strange. I understand, Miss Hartley smiled. You need a ride. Don't worry, I'll arrange one for you. She gave Hannah a reassuring pat on the head. I'm glad you told me. Hannah stood there for a moment more, but no words would come. All the way home, she kicked pebbles, thinking there must be a way to solve her dilemma. And then suddenly, it came to her. Mama! Papa! She burst in the door. Oh, walk to the park on Saturday. Mama shook her head. It's 2 miles away. You can't go by yourself. What if someone goes with me? Hannah pleaded. Mama looked at Papa. Papa nodded. Now that's thinking. Hannah felt like dancing. At least now she had a chance. The next day, Hannah looked over at Ruth's drawing and smiled. I like your horse. Thanks, Ruth smiled back. Ask, Hannah told herself. Ask. But what if Ruth said, you can't ride in your car on Saturday? How strange. The whole day went by and still she couldn't ask. The next day was Friday. It was her last chance, and Hannah decided just what to say to Ruth. She had practiced in her head. I know this may sound silly, but when the morning bell rang, Ruth's seat was empty. When everyone left for lunch, Hannah walked up to her teacher's desk. She took a deep breath. Miss Hartley, about the picnic? She searched for the right words. Oh, did I forget to tell you? Asked Miss Hartley. You can ride with Sally. Hannah shook her head. This time she had to say it. I'm not allowed, she blurted out. Orthodox Jews don't ride in cars on Saturdays. There, she said it. But I can walk with someone. I just don't know who would want to walk with me. Miss Hartley looked at Hannah kindly. I'm glad you told me. Now, let's see what we can do. All during lunch, Hannah wondered, who will Miss Hartley ask? Probably Sally. Perfect Sally. After lunch, Miss Hartley rang her bell. Class, I've just learned that Hannah is not allowed to ride on Saturdays, according to her Jewish face. Saturday is a day of rest. But there may be a way for her to join us, Miss Hartley went on. Hannah, please tell the class. Hannah stared at her desk. I can go if someone will walk with me, she whispered. Would someone do that? Asked Miss Hartley. The class went silent. Hannah's heart pounded. No one will, she told herself. It's a crazy idea. But just then the desk creaked. Hannah lifted her head and looked. Every hand was in the air. Now, how cool is that? Here she thought no one was going to appreciate that, and then everybody wanted to go with her. All right, we are going to now go through a little bit of questions, including about the importance of this. All right, now for the work part of this lesson, you guys will be listening to a book on YouTube, and then you will be answering the document on your Google Classroom that coincides with it. I am actually going to do this document right now with the book that we just read. So the nice thing is you'll have a little practice before you have to start on your own. So it will be, as always, go into your Google Classroom, week 5 it'll be under, and it will be called Setting. And it will look a little something like this. So just a few questions about the setting, and you can answer it to the best you can about the story that you read. So we are going to answer this about Hannah's Way. So we're just going to go through and answer this together. So the first question is, could the setting be a real place that exists in our time? Could this setting of a school be in our time? Yes. You just simply have to write yes. Yeah, of course, it could be in a setting, right? It could be. There's schools everywhere. Is the place important to the story? If you think about where it took place, rural Minnesota, Minneapolis, in a school during the Depression, is it important? Yes, it is important because it makes way for how people are dressed, how they talk, how they act. It's very important to the story, as it usually is. How is the setting like another place you know? Well, the setting being in a school is the school that I go to. We have students and teachers. Everyone is different. So it reminds me just like a place we are now. Just because it took place many years ago doesn't matter. We all have students and teachers, and you guys talk to me about things, and I try and help in different ways. So it's a lot like a place right now. Would the setting be different if it were set in a different time, in the past, present, or future? I don't think so. I don't really think anything would really change. The main idea of the story is that she was feeling a little bit different because of her religious differences. You know, that could be different now. There are people in our world who have different customs and rules and religions. So no, I don't think it would be any different. Where else could this story take place? Well, it could take place in any state. This could happen anywhere. It could take place maybe at her church, maybe if they were getting ready for a church field trip or something, and her mom didn't want her to ride in the car and everyone else could. Maybe she wasn't Jewish. Maybe it was a different thing. It could be a church, school we already talked about. It could be maybe at a birthday party where something could happen. So yeah, it could take place many different places. When and where did the story take place? So now we're just answering what it did. It said it take place in Minnesota during the Depression. And then we see this right over here, right? During the Depression. How does the setting make you feel? So this will be on your own. I think it made me feel, I'm trying to think of some good words. It made me feel knowledgeable. Made me feel like I was kind of known what was going on. Remember, if something spelled wrong, right click. I just forgot the G. Knowledgeable, informed, happy. That ending really made me feel happy, glad, There's our synonyms. Okay, and then the last one. What words is the author used to create a clear picture in your mind? So this is asking you guys what words are used in this story to help us describe it, okay? So just the words that maybe points it out. I'm going to say class. That helps knowing that there. Grove Park. So I'm going to write park, helps us know. Here I see the word Minneapolis. That helps us know where it takes place. I see Minnesota. I see the word school. So look, even within the first 2 pages, I see some words that help do this. So with the video that you are going to watch on YouTube, you are going to answer the same questions. You're going to listen to it and then go through and answer these questions on your Google Drive and make sure that you hit submit when you are finished. Again, chat me with any questions. Good luck.